What up, everybody? So, I got to watch all of the Terrifier movies in my lifetime. I am pretty speechless of what the hell these movies are even trying to go for. Just the kills in every single movie, they always amp it up a notch. So, I just wanted to do a ranking. I thought that would be a fun video to do. I haven't done a ranking in a very long time. So I'm just gonna cut to the chase and start. I'm gonna start with number four. Is gonna be a movie that not a lot of people know. It's called All Hallows Eve, and it is more of like a test to see if Art the Clown was gonna hold up with audiences. I didn't watch it until last night. I've already seen the first three Terrifiers, and I kind of wanted to watch this. Didn't know about it until someone pointed it out on YouTube, and it's not bad whatsoever. It's I've seen a lot worse. Um, the first and the third act of the movie are really good. The acting is nowhere near as bad as I thought it would be. I actually think the acting in All Hallows Eve is better than the first Terrifier, which even had a bigger budget. But I didn't find the acting to be that bad, actually. Obviously, like every horror movie, stupid decisions are made, but what can you do? I really like the concept of this movie. Basically, someone slips a VHS tape into a kid's bag and he watches it, and there's Art the Clown, there's a couple of different monsters. It's an anthology series. I think there's three of these kind of movies, but Art's only in this one, so that's why I watched this one. And it was good. It was fine. Like, not really anything to complain about, or like stuff I haven't already seen. They do different kills and like, or the same kind of kills, but in like different ways compared to other movies. But then you watch Terrifier 1, 2, and 3, and you're like, it doesn't really get that repetitive. It's pretty fresh stuff. But here it was still a fun watch. It was a good time, but I don't see myself going back to it. But like, I don't have any negative things to say about it. But this is just, the beginning of Art and Damien Leone, or whatever his name is. This is just the beginning, and they wanted to do like more of a found footage kind of deal. And I think it worked. I think it worked out. It doesn't really try to be a movie. It's more just introducing you to these monsters. Other than Art, I've never seen these other guys, but they did pretty good. Not as interesting, but they did pretty good. I would give this movie a 6.5 out of 10, just because there's really not much here, and I wasn't expecting that much. I already knew it was an anthology series, so I didn't think it was going to be like another Terrifier movie, so I think 6.5 is a good rating and fair. This one was kind of tough. Coming in at number three, I'm going to put the first Terrifier. I absolutely love what this movie brought just for horror fans, and making the world of horror even more watchable. Well, not really watchable, if you know what I mean, because the kills are so bad, like nasty. But it just gave like a new wave of horror. And the first time I watched this, I'll never forget. And the story is 100% true. I was sleeping, and if you guys have seen the scene that I'm going to talk about, you'll know. I was sleeping, and I fell asleep during the movie, and my buddy woke me up. He's like, Nathan, you gotta wake up. And it's the part when the girl is upside down. I'm not going to go into detail. Art takes a saw and goes to town. And I literally screamed like I just woke up. What the fuck? And it was just like such a hysterical moment, but like it was such a genuine reaction. I don't think I'll ever forget that. And that was my first time seeing that movie, and the first time seeing that fucking part of the movie. We just were, I don't know, man. I think we're just chilling, and we're looking for a movie to watch, and we just came across Terrifier 1 and didn't really think of anything, like, didn't think anything about it. And then, like, we watched it, and even though the acting is pretty shit in this movie, I just love the grindhouse feel. All Hallows Eve is the same thing. That grindhouse feel, that old school horror, Terrifier 1 gives it to you. If you're looking for a story, if you're looking for a good script, you came to the wrong movie. But if you're just coming in for the kills, you are going to be happy. I haven't been disappointed with any of these movies when it comes to the kills. It's usually just the story that lets me down. But I'm not really expecting that at the end of the day, other than 2 or 3, because they tried to make a story. But yeah, Terrifier 1 is definitely the one that All Hallows Eve did start it, but this started the Terrifier series or the trilogy, and it's been a really crazy ride considering how violent this movie is and how many people are on board. I'm so surprised. Um, I don't see any like backlash trying to defund like this studio and stop making these movies, because I have a very soft spot for horror. I've always loved it, and I have a strong stomach. I haven't thrown up during any of these movies or any movie ever in my life, but this one is the one that has stuck with me since I've seen it, gore and kill wise, and it probably always will. You can't really forget a movie like this. Yes, no story, shitty acting, shitty script, but man, if you get those kills down, your audience will be happy, and I was. But the only reason is not higher is because I think the other movies do a better job at conveying the story, even though the first one was just a setup. Number 2, another one, like these first 3, it's really hard. It is really, really hard because I love, like, all these movies do something different, but still keep, they stay in their lane, other than 3. 3 kind of got a bit wacky, which I'll talk about in a sec. But there is just so much to take from these 2 movies, so much rewatchability. I'm gonna have to put number 3, Terrifier 3, at number 2. I really liked this movie. I liked it a lot. Like, it gave me everything I wanted. But my issue is, did we really have to bring back the same girl from the second one? I understand they're trying to do like a Jamie Lee Curtis thing from Halloween and have her in all of them, but her character is just, she's just not interesting. The actress is not terrible. I've seen a lot worse, but I don't know, man. I think it would just been better if we just had Art going around and doing it to just random people, which he still is. It's still happening. But outside of that, you have your main character, which I understand you kind of need to have. You need to have a horror icon, especially if it's a woman, because, that's iconic. And she does good with what she's given, but she's not given much. I wouldn't really put it on her performance. She does the best she can. It's just the writing and her storyline. Like, there's just nothing interesting, not really a reason to care if she dies or not. And then when Art does find her, you're kind of like, oh no, what's gonna happen? Like, the story, even in the second one, the stories in 3 and 2, they get a bit more complicated. They lean into the supernatural a lot more than the first one. And that's the parts of these movies that I don't really care for. So the third one is just a great amount of kills. Some of these are might even top the first one, if you know what I'm talking about. I'm not going to talk about it because there's a lot of people that haven't seen it yet, but there is some kills in here you will never see in any other Terrifier movie. They're very unique. I feel like a sick fuck for even saying that they're fun to watch, but they are. That's why everyone watches horror movies. And it's just, everything with the kills was amazing, and the story was kind of whatever. And I wouldn't have let that bug me if I knew they weren't going for this bigger story arc. Like, in the first one, it's very small scale. If they kept 2 and 3 like that, then I think it would have been better. I just think it would have flowed better. But at the same time, if you are making a trilogy, you gotta have a story that connects the other movies. But the whole supernatural thing, I just don't find that they do it good. And that's not really what these movies are about. It kind of feels like they just shoved it into there's bits and pieces of it in the second one, but the third one is where it gets really wacky. Other than that, I had a blast at this movie. It was crazy. I don't know if I want to watch it again, because there kind of was some scenes in here that kind of bugged me when it came to children. Like, I understand that he's trying to make Art like this scary dude. He already is. He's already terrifying, no pun intended, but why do you gotta go after kids, man? And why do you have to show it in the way that you show it? I don't think people are gonna, like, grind towards that a lot. Like, I get you're trying to be edgy, you're trying to be ballsy, you're trying to show us that art doesn't have no boundaries. He'll kill anybody. I get it. But, like, I already got to listen to the kids screaming without the camera looking at him, thank God. And then they just show the body parts after. It's like, come on, my kid was like 3 years old. Like, really? Like, that's some things about these movies I don't really like. I think they kind of took it a bit too far there. Like, just leave the kids out of it. I'm not saying killing's a good thing, but leave the kids out of it. It's just ridiculous. At least teenagers or adults have some sense of, they can stand up for themselves a lot easier compared to a 3-year-old kid. It's good. Like, it does make art even more crazy because that's what they want. But at the same time, did you have to go to that far? Other than that, the third one, like, just what I go to see a Terrifier movie for, the kills, pretty damn good. I'm gonna say almost the best, if not the best in the franchise. But coming in at number 1 is gonna be Terrifier 2, and the reason this isn't at number 2 is because this movie does something different that the third one does not do, and that is have a good story. There's a lot of setup. It's the longest movie in the trilogy, but the setup and the ending, this whole movie is fucking great. This is the one movie in this franchise where after it ended, I'm like, wow, they did a really good job with the story. Yes, we come for the kills, but it is nice to have a good story in a horror movie because it doesn't happen often, and it's not easy to do, so I'm not pointing fingers at anyone. I probably couldn't do it myself, but especially for horror, it's not easy to make up a brand new idea, and the second one pulled it off. I wanted to see it in the theaters, but it wasn't even playing in my area, and I think this came out during the lockdowns. I can't remember, but overall, watching this at home, this was nuts. The bedroom scene, if you know what I mean, when he throws salt on the girl, I'll just leave it at that. This whole movie just starts off with a good story, and it just builds and it builds and it builds. And honestly, I think they could have left it here. Don't get me wrong, 3 is great, but when you watch 1 and 2 back to back, like, the second one just ends and you're like, I don't need to see any more of this vicious killing. And the story ended at a really nice, had a really nice ending. The girl gets away, Art's dead, she has her sword that chopped off his head, and it just makes it pretty rewarding. And then when I heard there's a third one coming out, I was like, of course. And apparently there's a fourth one coming out, and apparently that's the last one. So this is where the issue is, like, all these horror franchises, not even just horror, movie franchises in general, they just go on way longer than they need to. Everybody knows this. I'm not going to repeat it, but it's just it's not really a cash grab. Well, depending on what the movie is. I wouldn't say Terrifier 3 is a cash grab, but don't get me wrong, I love the kills, I love the brutality, but I don't feel like 3 needed to be made. I think 1 and 2 are perfect because 1 ends leaving you wanting more. The story isn't really completely tied up yet, and then the second one feels like it ends. It just ends everything, and then all of a sudden Art's back in the third one, and then we have the same girl from the second one, and you really thought it was over. So when I watched the third one, it was nowhere near satisfying story-wise like the second one was. And I found the acting in the second one to be a lot better. I definitely want to go back and just watch it again. It'll be my third time watching it, but not even just for the kills and that. I really like the story, and the cinematography is great. It has a lot of more of a higher budget going on here. 1 and 3 are a lot more like Grindhouse, which I really appreciate. So it's nice having all of these different angles of cinematography and all of these 3 movies, and like the picture, like the whole frame of the movie itself. It doesn't get boring because everyone feels a bit different. So hats off to everybody at that studio. But man, I'll watch the fourth one, like, obviously, but like, did we really need to make it? Did we really need a Joker 2? You guys know the answer to that. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Thanks for watching the review. Peace out now. Peace out.